it wasn't that Trump's administration was the most corrupt administration in modern history. They were just not good at hiding the corruption and didn't really care. Do you understand? That's the difference. That's the difference, boys. Okay? They just didn't care, and they didn't try to hide it. They just did it out in the open.
Other countries are emptying their jails into our country. We never had it better, and now we've never had it worse. In the history of our country, I just saw, we were with the governor, the lieutenant governor, we were with Ken, we were with a whole group, I think the largest contingent of Congress people ever at the border, from what I understand. I think they're mostly here, too, by the way. I see them, a lot of them right in front of me. But we had the largest. We even have Doc Ronnie, right? So my doctor in the White House who became a congressman.
By the way, Ronnie, would you mind giving Joe a cognitive test? President Sippy Cup, I don't know how well he's going to do, but anyway, I won't get you in trouble with these comments.
We aced it. I think I can say that I aced it.
Did he get...
I love that. Literally, I know 3 people that died of COVID last winter. What the fuck's he saying?
He didn't get one question wrong, did he? 30 out of 30.
Wow. You have such a big, beautiful brain. I have such a big, beautiful brain. I aced the cognition test. Come on, dude. It's so good. That's so good. I actually don't know how Hannity can talk so clearly when he has Donald Trump's entire dick, ballsack, and asshole shoved directly down his throat. It is wild that you can hear the clarity still.
Yee.
It's wild. And the boots. Okay? Whole.
And they,
Mr. President, you were so good at acing your cognition test. Biggest brain, boldest brain.
did get a little more difficult after you got by 15, I would say. But
I heard the first 3 questions are, is it a giraffe or an elephant, right?
Well, you know, that's what the fake news does. They take the first 2 or 3 questions and they put them in. But let me tell you, they would not get those last 15 right. Certainly not the last 10, that I can tell you. But anyway, but we have a border that's very bad right now and very dangerous for our country. And fortunately, we have a lot of great people in Texas, in particular. The job they're doing.
You know what's fascinating? All of a sudden, Biden is blaming you for the current crisis. And
it's called misinformation.
It's fake
They've
news.
done it for 5 years, 6 years. Russia, Russia, Russia. You know, I told you the story. I told Sean the story. I'd go around, people would say, "Sir, do you know anything about Russia?" This is when I'm running, years ago. I'd say, no. A month later, "Do you know anything about Russia?" Another guy comes up, "Sir, do you know anything about..." Then I get a call from him, "Do you know anything about Russia?" I said, "What's going on with Russia?" And it was the Russia hoax. That was misinformation. Now they're saying it was the Republican Party that wanted to defund the police. You hear that, Billy? Billy's not a big defunder of the police, I can tell you.
Wait, but the Republican Party actually did advocate to defund the police. If defunding the police means cutting funds to, or cutting the raises that cops were going to get, like the increase in the police budget, because that is what that means in the eyes of Republicans, then yes, Democrats actually wanted to increase funding to the police, and Republicans wanted to decrease funding to the police because they never wanted to pass legislation that increased spending. So the irony is that the irony is actually that Republicans did do this.
The Republican Party wants to defund the police. This just started yesterday. I don't know how they're getting away with that one, but all you have to do is, you know, the good thing with you take the old clips. There's no getting away.
I played the greatest hits last night, sir. Yes, I played them all. You know, when you look at what else is happening, too, and it's interesting that states like Florida and South Dakota and many others, they're offering Texas and Arizona support now.
That's right.
And their law enforcement, because in the dark of night, they're taking illegal immigrants, flying them into these states, and now the states are responsible for food and shelter and health care and education. They can't afford it.
And the states don't even know they're coming. They bring people in, and the states don't even know. They say, "Here, you're taking this." It's an allotment. It's called an allotment. And the governors, Republican governors, are, by the way, you look at the well-run states, it's all done by, for the most part, Republican governors. All of them. In terms of crime, in terms of everything else. No, we have great Republican governors. We really do.
So the policies that have been reversed. Joe hasn't come to the border. You've been here many times. Kamala really.
Like, dude, I love that they were so adamant about how symbolic and empty of a gesture it was that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went to the border and went to a detention center and cried. And now they're crying that they're not doing the symbolic and empty gestures of going to the border. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It is the best thing. It is the best thing that could have ever happened. Okay?
4 months
Brilliant.
watching you yell at Chat Pogo.
He didn't come to the border. It seemed like a photo op to me. What would you want them to know that they don't know, or maybe they do know and they don't seem to care about?
Well, Kamala wouldn't have come if she didn't hear I was coming.
Oh,
I was
true.
invited by the governor.
I'm gonna come. Are you saying it? Kamala wouldn't have come. I'm gonna come.
And I said yes. And I said yes, to my honor, because we were very proud of the job we did. Nobody's ever done the job that we've done. We built over, now I guess it's close to 500 miles of wall. And we were going to build an extra 200 because we had money left over. We were going to do an extra 200. And nobody's ever done this. And all he had to do is go another 2 months and the wall would have been totally completed. And by the way, they have to paint the wall. I'm going to give that job to Brian. We have to paint, great congressman. We have to paint the wall because it's starting to rust. It's supposed to be painted. And they don't even want to paint the wall. It's so disgraceful. 2 more months.
4 months.
Dude, this type of like aesthetic stuff is so good because like you do see the rust on the walls and you think like, yeah, he's right. He's right. We should paint it. We should
20
paint it.
months
Like
before
he's right. And it's also the type of stuff that a Republican would care about. Like, the wall straight up does not stop any drug trafficking, okay? One, because you can use slingshots or, tunnel under it. But most importantly, because drug trafficking does not happen across the border
Silly
via
tramp.
illegal entry through border crossings. 97% of all drugs trafficked into the United States comes from regular ports of entry. Okay? And this is something I've talked about a million times over. So the border wall, you could say wrong all you want, but it's the truth. It's actually the truth. The overwhelming majority, if not nearly the entirety of drugs that is trafficked into the United States, get trafficked through regular ports of entry. And that's not my numbers that I made up in my, libtard brain. These are numbers that are coming from the Department of Homeland Security. And that didn't change under Donald Trump either. It's not like they were giving out different information under the Trump administration. No. So that's the brilliance of the wall. Because it pretty much does absolutely nothing, and it's purely symbolic. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. There are a lot of areas that go over Texas land, which Texans are not even happy about. That's the part of the wall that we don't really talk about. Texans love having their own land and dominating their own land, right? There's big chunks of the border wall that would have to go over
Happy 3 months.
the land that Texans own, which is quite the controversial thing. Yeah, eminent domain, baby.
Hey, yo.
I love that Republicans refuse to fix infrastructure unless it's something that is purely symbolic,
Chat,
like
pretend
a
this was
stupid
wicked funny,
wall
also
that
people
doesn't
hate.
prevent anything, and painting that stupid wall that will do absolutely nothing. Like we have bridges that are crumbling all around the country. We have dams that are in a state of disrepair. And Republicans are like, hell yeah, paint that goddamn wall red, white, and blue, brother. I don't care how many billions we'll spend on it. Like, if Democrats were like, we need to be painting this wall, and we're going to paint it rainbow colors in honor of the LGBT community members that we love. Okay? In honor of the trans Guatemalan that's, like, escaping violence, who will look at that rainbow and be like, oh, fuck, I can't come in. I don't want to be, I'm not allowed to be in this country. We hate
Love
you.
you, Ajahn. You're like a big brother to me. Keep doing what you
Republicans would lose their minds. They'd be like, this is such a waste of funds. It's a waste of funds. Liberals would be on board.
Has Sammy.
Anyway. MS-13 is gay, brother. We don't want them gay criminals coming in. MS-13, you know what that stands for? Male sex 13. You better stop that now. Better stop that male sex from happening. Okay, let's keep going.
Everything would have been completed. And they said, just like with the Keystone Pipeline, they're not going to do it. 48,000 jobs out the window. And an environmental pipeline, much better than other forms of transportation for the product. So when you look at what's happening, and inflation is going to be the killer of them all, because inflation is going to destroy our country. The border is going to destroy our country. You know?
I want to get to all of that.
Wait. I wonder how we have such inflation now. I wonder how we could stop inflation.
Hey, Hassie,
if only there was a mechanism to control inflation. Oh, wait, the same Fed chairman under Donald Trump was routinely warning about inflation after our endless quantitative easing policies. But Donald Trump wanted to keep interest rates as low as humanly possible for the duration. Bitcoin? What? No, I'm not talking about Bitcoin, man. So, again, if we have a... What Bitcoin? Raise the interest rates, baby. Let's do it. I don't care. Anyway, so everybody's like, hell yeah, you're right. Inflation is crazy. And then, it's unmanageable, brother. It's like, okay, why did that happen? And also, I mean, it's not even just Trump, by the way. That is a consistent policy for every single president. That has just been our monetary policy for the past 30 years, 40 years. Well, not 30, 40, but you know what I mean. So, of course, you don't care. Yeah, it's because I'm rich. The rich actually love higher interest rates. You're right. That's what the wealthy are advocating for. And to in an effort to curb inflation, increasing interest rates. It's Anyway. Let's keep going.
If Donald Trump, and we had a hard time getting video. There were even congressmen, and I know Louis was part of it. I know that Senator Ted Cruz was down here, and many others. I'm not ignoring a lot of you. And I know that if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't allow our cameras in the new cages they were building for kids. Yeah. Now, in 2018, they accused you of putting children in cages. It turns out the video was from 2014. Right. You were not president. Now, Joe Biden is building these cages in the middle of a pandemic, high rate of positive cases of COVID, kids living on top of each other. Imagine for a second, what would the press have been like and Democrats been saying if you had built these new cages, which they're building all over here?
But I really had that because in 2018, and even after 2018, they came out with these horrible pictures. And somebody came up and said, well, it was the contractor. He said, but I built those cages in 2014 during Obama's administration. And it wasn't Trump, it was Obama that built those cages. Got a little bit lucky. And after we said that, all of a sudden the whole cage thing went away. But now they're building them again because there's so many kids coming in. And you know, many of the kids are on suicide watch, something we've never heard of. Think of that. It's so miserable, it's so hot, it's like hell. I mean, I just walked, I will say, although right now I think it was hotter in New York.
Dude, those kids were so happy under Trump, though. Like, those kids were literally the happiest when they were being detained under the Trump administration's detention centers as a deterrence policy. When they were being separated from their mothers and fathers and other family members that they crossed the border with, they were like, "Oh man, poggers, I love being thrown into a prison cell away from my only family members that I trust."
New York than it was in Texas. It was 101 degrees in New York.
Again, it's like, dude, how can you say this? It blows my fucking mind that this is basically Obama built the cages version 2.0. Okay? Obama built the cages. Well, you use them, and now you're getting mad that Joe Biden is using them. I don't understand it. Aren't you also saying that our borders are overfilled? That people are coming in? Like, it makes no sense. Make this make sense.
This was like, I got here, it was like cool. But their kids are on suicide watch. Think of that.
Sad.
It's a terrible thing.
Look at 90% of the heroin crosses that southern border.
Yeah.
Now fentanyl. We've had the two biggest fentanyl busts in the history of the country. We're losing over 300 Americans a week.
Wait, I'm confused. Isn't that a shout out to Joe Biden then? Like, so under the Joe Biden administration, we had two of the biggest fentanyl busts. Yeah, 85% of the fentanyl that came across the U.S.-Mexico border in 2017 entered through the San Diego port of entry. Yes, I already mentioned this. The overwhelming majority of drugs that came into the country has historically always come in through regular ports of entry, not over the border wall. You would not be able to transport that massive amount of cargo by tucking it under the bags of abuelas. Okay, that's not how that works. People make it seem like they're just like, oh yeah, it was just like a bunch of Mexican old ladies are just like shoveling coke into the country or something.
In some cases, more.
It's the worst thing of all. A sheriff just said at a meeting we had a round table, and these sheriffs are incredible. The law enforcement in Texas and other places is so incredible. And he said, and I didn't even know this, he said, for the end of our administration, we had fentanyl virtually stopped. Now he said it's coming in at levels that we've never seen before. We had it stopped. It was very tough to get. It was nasty. Getting through our border, especially with almost the 500 miles of wall, it was nasty to get through. And these people, and I gave them the right to stop people. Now, they're not even allowed to talk to people. You're not allowed to talk to people. But again, people coming in is bad. Prisoners and real serious criminals of the world, murderers walking in. I'll never forget. I'm watching, of all places, CNN, okay? This was a short-term watch. And they had a reporter. No, this is before.
I can't hear you. What'd you say?
Oh, no. Well, now their ratings are down 79%. This was. But I'm watching CNN, and a woman reporter is asking, what did you do? What did you do? It's a very famous lip. And this guy looks at her, murder. She said, what? Murder. And she immediately, they cut off the camera.
Come on, dude. Come on. Is I will destroy you a Turkish meme? What? I don't know. They probably mean like you're pussy or something, Amaranth. Like they're probably saying like, if they're saying it in Turkish, I mean. Anyway, the Turks are they're gonna lose their minds now that you said that. Amurant. Dünya ahiret bacımız Amurant. Burada arkadaşlar. I said Amaranth is our worldwide and forever. How do I explain bacı? Bacı means like a woman that you defend. Like it's not like your immediate family member, but like someone you respect and defend.
That was the end of that. But we have thousands of hardened criminals, like we don't even have in this country practically. MS-13, we took them out by the thousands. You know, I told the story just now, we had the border. The three countries, primarily Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, MS-13 and other criminals were coming out, and they wouldn't take them back in the Obama administration. They refused to take them back.
This is like, all of this is a lie. The Obama administration deported more than the Trump administration did, even in its first 4 years. Okay? Part of that was because of border crossings being designated as deportations. Okay? That's what increased the numbers. But also, the Obama administration, the biggest difference between the Obama administration and the Trump administration was their hyper focus on criminal immigrants. Immigrants that had a record or had done a crime. Trump expanded on that to include undocumented immigrants living in U.S. borders, no matter how long they've been here, doesn't matter. He wanted everyone to get deported. He wanted to use ICE as a deportation force, kind of like the Gestapo, and focused on every single person. This is the legal difference between what Donald Trump did and what Obama did, okay? He also, while simultaneously saying that, like, Obama is not doing enough or Joe Biden is not doing enough to deport immigrants, he keeps saying how much they're deporting immigrants and how much harm they're causing to undocumented immigrants. It literally does not make sense. It physically cannot be these two thoughts you can't have inside of your mind at the same time. Crossing the border for the first time is a civil offense, so anyone caught isn't guaranteed counsel.
They would have planes on the runway, so when our plane would want to land, they couldn't land. They would stop the buses. And I said, well, do we pay these countries any money? They wouldn't take them back at the beginning of the three countries. I know the heads of the three countries. They're smart. They're very street smart dictators, okay? But they're very street smart people. And I like them. They like me. We get along. But, it's like business is business.
You know they're evil.
Hasanabi contradicts himself, lol. Wait, you think I'm contradicting myself? Or you think, why did I click on myself? Or you think Trump is contradicting himself? Because that's what Trump is doing. He just keeps contradicting himself over and over again. And it doesn't make any sense because, like, on the one hand, he's talking about how senseless the brutality is towards immigrants under the Obama administration. He built the cages. And Joe Biden did right now. Oh, the kids are in such bad situation. They're suicidal. While in the middle, he's like, but they're not doing enough. Like, what do you want? You want him to fucking directly murder the kids or something? Like, is that what you want? And I am all the way over here on the leftmost side that you can be, where I think both of those administrations have been incredibly reactionary towards undocumented immigrants, right? So I think both are bad, okay? One is also aesthetically worse than the other.
Bad Trump, good.
But both are bad across the board. There are minor differences or marginal differences in between the way that either administration has dealt with undocumented immigrants, but those differences lead to drastically different outcomes for the people on the ground. Certainly, that is not something that I will say is insignificant. Those are definitely significant changes for those people living through them. But ultimately, both are still doing a lot of harm, except Donald Trump is looking at that and saying, no, it's good when we do it, and it's bad when they did it.
But they're not dumb.
I don't know. They're not. Look, we got along. I said, how much do we pay those countries? $500 million, sir. But what does that have to do with it, sir? It has everything to do. Don't pay anymore. We didn't pay. And then I was called. Stop paying me. No, it's called we stop payment. You ever hear the term we stop payment? And we stop payment. And then the next day I get a call from all three. President, you stop payment. No more money coming into the three countries. I said, that's right. You're not taking your criminals back, but we would love to. Nobody asked us properly. We would love to take MS-13 back. They are wonderful people. I said, fine. We sent them back by the thousands. They took them by the thousands. But nobody's ever done that before. Nobody ever did it before.
Do you have a theory, an idea? Because I really can't think of one, except that, you know, I think in years gone by, I would argue that there were Republicans that wanted illegal immigration because they get cheap labor. And I think that Democrats want to provide something of great worth, which would be amnesty, citizenship.
And you have rhinos. You do have rhinos. Look, the rhinos.
There's a lot of rhinos out there.
The rhinos sometimes, I may say it, the rhinos, these people, you don't have any rhinos in this room. We probably have 45 congressmen here and women.
My favorite
you don't have any rhinos in this group, but you have rhinos. I call them weak Republicans. They walk into the White House. I've been watching for 4 weeks now. They walk in, they meet Biden. He doesn't know what the hell's happening. They meet Biden. He's sitting, and they're talking about infrastructure. And finally, they walk out. They have a deal, and the deal is a terrible deal, but it's a deal. And it sort of reminds me of England a long time ago. We have a deal. We have a deal. You remember the deal they made with Germany? Not too good. That didn't work out too well.
What? If I don't understand what he's saying, there's no shot his stands get what he's saying here, okay? What is he even talking about? He doesn't mean Brexit, I don't think. Does he mean NATO? Like, what is he referencing? Appeasement? No, dude. He's not talking about appeasement. No shot. Are you guys serious? He is? Wait.
These people, you don't have any rhinos in this room. We probably have 45 congressmen here and women. You don't have any rhinos in this group, but you have rhinos. I call them weak Republicans. They walk into the White House. What the hell's happening? They meet Biden. He's sitting, and they're talking about infrastructure. And finally, they walk out. They have a deal, and the deal is a terrible deal, but it's a deal. And it sort of reminds me of England a long time ago. We have a deal. We have a deal. You remember the...
Absolutely 0% chance Trump knows what appeasement is.
Has buff.
Okay? No, I refuse to believe that appeasement is a concept that exists in Donald Trump's mind. You guys are unironically crazy if you think he knows what it is.
The deal they made with Germany, not too good. That didn't work out too well, right? But they reminded me, they walk out, we have a deal, we have a deal. And it was the typical names. There were a couple of good ones in there. I don't know how they got roped in, but they walk in. So they have a deal. And then Biden canceled the deal because the radical left said, you can't make that deal. That deal's no good.
None of this is true, by the way. From the point of view of like what actually happened, I've moved beyond whether it was appeasement or not. And he's comparing Biden to Hitler or not. But what he's talking about is literally not true. What Joseph Robinette Biden did, which was a very smart tactical move, in my opinion, was to say, hey, here you go. I gave you your bipartisan deal, Jack. And then we're also going to do a simultaneous reconciliation package. And I'm not going to sign it if both aren't there. Both aren't on my table. Okay? Now, that was too powerful of a move. That was too alpha of a move for Joe Biden. Let's be real, which is precisely why he turned around and reneged that offer to the progressives, because that was going to be something for the progressives. That was a way to shut the annoying moderate centrist Democrats up, a way to show like bipartisanship, and now and then also get his larger infrastructure package through budget reconciliation. Now we'll see what actually happens. I don't know what's going to happen, but Trump is saying that he went back and he just lied to them or whatever. I don't think so. That's not true.
Want to spend $6 trillion.
Well,
and most of it,
they would backdoor everything they didn't get.
My friend says reneged is a racist term. Is that true? What? It comes from negation. Negative.
Fucking Dono hassle everyone.
Your friend is a fucking idiot.
Russia, 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 Pogo.
No, it's not renegotiation. Renege can also mean like I don't even think it's no, renege doesn't mean renegotiate. It's to go back on a promise or a commitment. So you're wrong. It's to revoke.
In the deal, they would backdoor through the reconciliation process.
Well, we need better leadership at the Senate level. You need better leadership. You need somebody better than Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Guys,
Love you
English
all
is
and wish you the
my
best.
fucking second language, dude. How? How are we here? From Latin negare, to deny, plus re, so to de-deny. Okay, that's why I said it comes from negation. Renege.
1-0.
Mitch McConnell can no longer do the job.
When you know, it was a very difficult process because I was covering it every night. And that was Congress was not assisting you for the money, for the border wall.
It's not short for renegotiation. Please stop.
Which was a signature promise that you made in 2016. But you found a way to get the money and build the wall.
So what I did is I got a big military budget approved, and I took it out of the military because the way I look at it, this is defense. I spent 2.5 years winning lawsuits. We won all of the lawsuits. There were 11. We won every one of them. I started building the wall. It's 2 months from completion, and this guy stops it. And that's tragic, and it's dangerous for Texas and Arizona and every other state. It's tragic.
All right. All right, we're broadcasting from Edinburgh, Texas, right near McAllen, and I'm joined on stage former President Trump and Texas Governor Greg Abbott. All right, this is a town hall. We're going to have some questions. Ma'am, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
What's your first name?
My name is Janet Brown, and I live in Edinburgh.
Welcome, and thank you for being with us. What's your question?
I am Hispanic. I actually came from Nicaragua, Central America. I'm very familiar with Central America because I lived there 2 years in Honduras and the rest in Nicaragua. I came to the United States in 1960. I won't tell you my age. But anyway, I came here legally, and it is really...
Which means, I mean, I don't know exactly what time frame she came here, but it could, one, mean that at the time there was a more... there was an immigration policy that was more, I guess, humane, where you could easily come to the United States of America. Two, was a CIA asset, okay, and very clearly worked with the CIA, and from a regime that the American State Department was fond of, or as a refugee, aka CIA asset. Or three was just rich as fuck, which also pairs up with America's State Department interests. So that person turning around and shitting on the rest of the immigrants, coming in, and she is pretty light skinned, so it does make sense. But for that person to turn around and talk doo-doo about the other immigrants coming in is for a deliberate reason. Let's keep
really
going.
sad.
And by the way, colorism in Latin America is also as profoundly important as it is here in the United States. And it directly stems from colonialism. The whiter you are from Latin American countries, the whiter you are, the more pure your bloodline is, and the closer you can trace it back to whatever the European colonizers were that took over that land and genocided the indigenous population and enslaved them. So just remember that. It means you're closer to being a Spaniard than being like what's the proper term? Is it mestizo or the proper term being like indigenous? The closer you are to
12
being a
months
colonizer rather than the indigenous population. For those of you who don't know, that's where that comes from.
To see what's going on at our borders here.
Mestizo is half,
The
sorry.
question is, President Trump, what long-term damage and destruction will Biden's open borders agenda do to the country, and what is it costing the law-abiding U.S. taxpayers?
So it's a very fair question, and I know you know that answer probably as well as everybody in this room. It's incalculable how bad this is, where you have not hundreds of thousands, but millions of people storming into our country. Some of them, as we discussed, are from prisons, and they're bad, and they're murderers, and all of the things that I said before. There's no way to judge that kind of damage. And getting them out is an ordeal, and all sorts of things will happen. It's going to be very hard. But I will say this, it has to be stopped now. This can't go till 2022. They all say, oh, we're going to win Congress. This can't go. They have to do something immediately. People are storming up. You look at some of these caravans where they have 15 and 20 and 25,000 people, and you don't know who's in those caravans. And dotted in those caravans are some of the worst people on earth. So it's a tremendous cost, and it's also monetarily a tremendous cost. You're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars.
Sean, can I add to it?
Yeah.
Janet.
Actually costs significantly more if you were to build proper housing or reappropriate hotels or vacant houses or homes or whatever in certain parts of the country to integrate and build like orientation programs, I guess, for undocumented immigrants that were coming over the border and seeking asylum in the most empathetic and humane way possible. You would, one, create more jobs, two, be able to revitalize certain parts of the American economy, and three, ultimately, it would cost significantly less to do that rather than prosecute them as though they're criminals and put them through the system.
What's happening here is the erosion of the social fabric of the United States of America. The United States of America was built upon the rule of law, and what the Biden administration is doing is not enforcing the rule of law. The first thing that happens for all the people they're letting in, they know they're getting away with violating the rule of law. That will erode the United States of America. It must be stopped.
I agree.
Thank you for your question.
I agree.
Let me pick up on, and thank you, ma'am. Thank you for calling. I don't know, Governor, if we should take it personally. It wasn't Viva us, just him.
We'll just leave the stage and it'll be all Trump.
Let's talk a little politics. You're up, Governor, in 2022. I like President Trump. I'm open with my opinions. All the fake news journalists, they say they're objective. We know they're not. They have an agenda. But you've done a great job for this state. I support your nomination, as the president has. I guess the question is, let's talk about 2022. Really good chance you will be reelected. The House could turn Republican. And then we look at the states where Senate races are. I don't think it could be a bigger bellwether. Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, New Hampshire. We have Ohio, Wisconsin, and Arizona. Those are all states we're very familiar with. How important is it for the Republicans to take those key Senate races?
So I think without weak Republican rhino leadership, you'd win every one of them.
Every one.
But dotted in there are people that you almost would say don't like this country. They don't like the Republican Party.
I mean, this is just, again, a personal branding project for Donald Trump. The way he's talking about this is specifically like trying to draw battle lines within the Republican Party as either you're pro-Trump and a real Republican, or you're anti-Trump, or kind of questioning Trump's power, and you are anti-Republican, right? The real Republicans are the ones who are
have
Trumpers,
some
and the
federal
fake
gov
ones
salary
are
money.
those like Liz Cheney and therefore bad. Rhinos. This has nothing to do with like actually winning elections or anything like that. That's it. He's just setting it up for himself, basically. That's all he's doing.
With strong Republican leadership in charge of those states, you'll win every one of them. Without that, you won't.
Governor, I'm going to give you, this is your last segment with us. What it means to you to be the conservative governor of Texas.
Open borders hurts workers and wages. Not sure why you are such a big fan of them. No, open borders do not hurt workers and wages. That is an absolute lie. Okay.
Thanks for streaming.
There
Sorry
is no
everyone was
finite
so
amount
mean
of
to me
jobs
yesterday.
available.
Sad face.
Economy
We love
scale. Open borders are only hurting workers and wages because of the two-tiered immigration system in this country that creates a constantly refreshing pool of labor that you can basically work for near slavery wages. That's it.
No more top of hour.
Okay? That's the difference. That's the real issue is not undocumented immigration. The real issue is actually having a two-tiered immigration system and a constant pool of basically slaves that American corporations take advantage of. And because there is a constant pool of immigrants coming into the country to work at these horrible conditions, the top of the hour ad break still comes at the top of the hour. And of course, there's a way to avoid said ad breaks, but that is not by shutting down
Obama
immigration
amnesty.
in its entirety.
Obama amnesty. Obama amnesty. Logan PSD wastewater treatment plant.
Okay? Yeah. Another way that you can avoid the
1
ads is
year
by
of radicalism
subscribing,
has.
whether it's for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, or with an ad block or a VPN. But here's the ad break now. Anyway,
6 month subby poggers.
as I was trying to say, the real problem isn't immigration. The real problem is not allowing workers to organize and not allowing undocumented labor to be documented labor. That's it. And that's precisely why we are significantly more brutal to the undocumented immigrants that come into this country than the corporations that hire them. If you truly wanted to end undocumented immigration in this country, you would punish the corporations that hire undocumented immigrants. But that would impact their bottom line tremendously. Our agricultural production heavily relies on migrant labor. Our food production, like our processing plants, heavily rely
Hassle.
on undocumented labor. Okay? So if you actually wanted to put a stop to it, if you
Do you
wanted to go
still have
full
your
Nazi
MAGA hat?
Germany,
Has Kona.
then the way to do so would be by punishing corporations that hire undocumented immigrants, not through E-Verify either, like actually straight up punishing the corporations, not with just a slap on the wrist, but straight up by punishing them and even putting them in jail.
$13 months. Shinzo
But you
was
won't do that.
Sasageyo.
And the reason why the American government won't do that is because our two-tiered immigration system is built in a way so that we can have slaves. That is the truth.
26 months. Me and
Aviva Chomsky has covered this subject extensively. She wrote books about it. I forget what her book was about. That pairs up America's immigration policy with capital owners and their interests
Trump, my
under
daddy, my
capitalism. Noam Chomsky's daughter, one of his daughters. Hassan Nasrallah arc? What? I'm just gonna ban fucking moronic baboons that say shit like this. My advocacy never is to stop and shut our borders down and never let undocumented immigrants in here. I don't want to be like Japan, dude. Okay?
Oof.
I'm an immigrant, you fucking idiot. I like immigration.
"15 months of watching the hogs with Asian."
Listen, even in Texas, remember this, Texas is also the state of people like Beto O'Rourke. And so what we have in this...
Hey Craig Goliath,
Workers shouldn't be penalized, though. Innovation is necessary to progress like Elon and Bezos wish to accomplish. Immigrants are given stuff they do not deserve. We must protect America's sanity. Dude, do you think it's funny? Like, do you think this is a funny meme when you do stuff like this? Do you want me to ban you permanently? Is that what you want? Let's go, Pepela. Here you go. Here, have fun with your permanent ban, you fucking idiot. Yeah, I know it's a troll. It's a 9-month subscriber who's spamming the same shit over and over again. And then outsiders that come into this community will look at that and be like, Hassan is destroying, like, he's trying to create an echo chamber. It's like, no, I know what that person's actual worldview is. And he's simply stating idiotic points of view, specifically so he can get a rise out of me. And then I'll go on a tangent about how stupid that is. No immigrant has taken your job. You were laid off by a capitalist who took advantage of that immigrant to increase their profits. Nothing makes the capitalist happier than you blaming the immigrant for your job loss. Yeah.
What we have in the state of Texas is a battle for the soul of our economy. Are we going to be capitalists or are we going to be socialists? We've seen the socialists...
Yeah, dude, it is so socialist to make sure that no one, and I mean no workers, can organize in the workplace, let alone like fucking own the means of production. It's actually the most socialist thing to do. Yeah, driving labor costs down at the behest of capital owners and hurting workers at the behest of capital owners by driving labor costs down and destroying benefits and not allowing workers to organize in the workplace is the most capitalist thing you can do. The way that our immigration system is designed is the most capitalist immigration system you could possibly have.
Agenda through Beto O'Rourke and Julian Castro and people like that. Texas must prevail. We must keep Texas capitalism. Let me tell you this last thing that Democrats will not, and that is it's been capitalism, not socialism, that's lifted more people out of poverty than all of the socialistic programs in the...
Now give me that. Now give me that number without China. Whenever people say that, ask them, do you think China is capitalist? They will say, no, it's socialist. Then you will ask, urge them to give you the numbers where we have lifted people out of poverty globally without China, since it's a socialist state. Just ask them.
Mustard has chud. Yes, sir, 3 months.
In the history of the world, we're not going to let the socialists take over now.
No, I'll say this about Texas, and it's so telling. If you take a U-Haul from California to Texas, it's about $2,500. If you take it from Texas back...
Can you stop saying you're an immigrant? It's not much harder to say my parents were immigrants. You were born in New Jersey. I'm literally an anchor baby, you fucking moronic, idiotic, tofu is vegan ass dipshit. I'm sorry that, you know, I literally came here when I was 18 years old. An immigrant from where? New Jersey? Yeah. I was born here so that I could have an American citizenship. I love that that's like not enough, dude. Can you please stop saying you're an immigrant? It's not much harder to say my parents were immigrants. You were born in New Jersey. Like, my father didn't even have a fucking American citizenship until literally 2 years ago. What the fuck are you talking about? My parents were immigrants. He hates America.
Yeah.
God damn, dude. Vegans, is this the best you guys got? Oh, I guess that's sort of different. Oh!
Hey.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was your fucking lack of knowledge that led you to have such a fucking asinine statement about my immigration status from where you were standing. No, here's what you're supposed to say. Instead of saying, oh, I guess that's sort of different. You're supposed to say, I'm sorry for acting like I know more about your actual life than you, and implying that you are somehow lying about your background. That's what you're supposed to say if you want to avoid getting banned for having such a fucking moronic take in the chat.
Hassle, 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 hassle.
Also, eat some fucking meat, I guess, because, you know, I don't know. It seems like your synapses are not firing. I already ran the ad, chat. Stop saying.
Colon 3 Hi Arjan.
Well, I guess that's sort of different. Okay, I gave you enough time to, like, apologize, but doesn't seem like it's coming, so have fun. Dude, chatters will literally be like, I know about your personal background more than you, dude. Like, that's crazy to me, dude. That is actually crazy. I know you lived your life, but I actually know more because I Googled it.
Back to California, it's about 300. You're doing U-Haul a favor. Now, I know Texas is very inclusive, but if people are going to come from California and New York to Texas, I think it's fair to say they need to leave their liberal policies that destroyed their states behind. Fair?
Fair enough.
Governor, we always love having you. Thank you for being with
Sean.
us.
Thank you very much.
All right, when we come back, we'll return a few other questions for President Trump, non-border related, as we continue our town hall. Thank you for being with us.
Months Pog.
Oh, my God.
All right, as we continue Hannity on the ground in Texas tonight, we continue with the former President Donald Trump. What a great crowd. We don't have a lot of time, but let's talk about your future plans. Now, I have a funny... Let me ask the crowd of everybody here, would you like to see the president run again in 2024? You're not going to answer, but I have to ask. Where are you in the process of, or have, let me ask
Remember, chat, when you get sad about how many claps and how delusional this crowd is, remember that they all, every single person in this room, voted for Ted Cruz. Okay? Texan conservatives are a whole different kind of loser. It's just like, it's not something you can compare to the average person. They are gigantic losers. They're pathetic. They're cucks. They don't even like the aesthetics of like a macho man who's like a real American, you know? Born and bred, baby.
Did you
This
see
without
there was
giving the
another
answer
building
what
that
the
collapsed
answer-
They
in
voted
DC
for a
like
guy
30 minutes ago?
who ran away from rolling blackouts, go to Cancun, and when he was caught in 4K, turned around and blamed his like 6-year-old daughter. Nothing says Texan conservative and a firm belief in American values like bravery and patriotism, like voting for a guy who did that.
Is, have you made up your mind?
3.
Yes.
I think you got it right. Yeah. When you look, you know, it's funny because I've known you 25 years. And I remember when you first.
Please stop calling my family losers. I mean, if they're Texas conservatives, they're fucking losers, brother. I'm sorry to tell you that, but they are. They literally are losers. If they voted for Ted Cruz, you're a fucking loser. If you voted for Ted Cruz, you are a loser. I'm sorry. There is no way to manage that, okay?
First talking about running, and we actually argued. Remember, we'd argue about certain things in Iraq and certain wars and everything. And then you became president. And I remember when I supported you, I said he will govern as a conservative, and people didn't understand. You really governed as conservative as any president in the modern day. That is your core belief.
And actually, Sean, you have known me for a long time, and my views have never really changed. I mean, if you look at my views haven't changed. I felt this way about these crazy, endless wars where we're losing so many wonderful, young, beautiful people, and we're not fighting. We're just sort of there, and we don't do it. You know, we knocked out ISIS. You saw what I did during a short period of time.
Sure.
Over a period of a year and a half.
Wiped out the caliphate.
ISIS wiped out the caliphate. It was getting worse and worse. But we got to bring our people back home. It's time. 21 years in Afghanistan. 21 years. And so we rebuilt our military. It was totally depleted. It was terrible. We had jets that.
It's depleted again. It's depleted again, folks. Totally depleted again as soon as Biden was in office. He said we're spending all the funds on teaching them critical race theory.
Were 40 years old, jet fighters that were 40 years old that they didn't make parts for anymore. You had to go to the desert to get the parts, where they have what they call the airplane graveyards. And we have now all brand new planes, brand new everything, all made in the USA. No, we have to get ourselves set. We have to reorient. But the Middle East has been a disaster for this country. We've spent trillions and trillions of dollars. We got nothing. And the beauty was we didn't need their oil anymore, but now we're going to need their oil again because we're not going to be energy independent
We're not
for very
now.
long.
We're ready.
I don't believe we are now. And when I left, it was $1.87 a gallon for gas, and now it's $3.50.
It's almost $1.30 more.
Yeah.
Just since Joe's gotten to be president. Let me ask you a question, because I would argue, and I did argue.
I wonder what happened, dude.
It's okay, Arjan. Just stop reading chat. We are dumb.
It's almost like there was something that happened that, people weren't buying a lot of gas. They weren't really
I'm interrupting the news today
driving
on the way
around.
to tell you I made Tara Massa for the first time ever. It came out super good.
And now
for my
gas
first
prices
time, and
have
I'm
like
super proud
become
of
normal
myself.
again.
Dang hugs in the chat. Tofu.
I can't think of what it was. Probably Joe Biden. It is actually Trump is in a really hard situation here because like
Yo.
the recovery is built in, right? Like reopening the economy, even if you didn't add significant investments, as soon as you reopen the economy, even if you didn't vaccinate people, if you just reopened the economy, a lot of people were going to be happy. They would probably die because of COVID because there were no vaccines, but they would still be happier automatically. Like, so Biden has always had a built-in mechanism where his approval rating was going to be significantly higher than most other presidents, and that's precisely why he's trailing at like 65% for a long time. which is why it's harder for Trump to make arguments against Joe Biden right now